project, and I will cry if I want to. I'm here with the Landa SJ-15 automatic parts washer again. We did find a little bit of a home for it here in the shop. This is where it'll live for now. I am just going to run a drag cord tonight to try it out, but eventually I'll hopefully wire it in an outlet or wire it direct here at this sub panel. I did get a new strainer housing, just the nylon or plasticky part to replace the cracked one. So I'm going to get that put on, and then I did drain this out, the parts washer, so I'm going to have to fill that back up as well, and then hopefully I'll be able to do kind of a full functionality test, and if that goes really well, then I have this AlumaClean, obviously not a sponsor. I'll probably try in it. I think I'd have to put all 20 pounds in basically for this parts washer, but I bought this when I was using an old commercial dishwasher for a bit of a parts washer, and it seemed to do pretty good, so I'm hoping in this setup it'll do great. I've heard good things about it. First things first, let's get her filling up with water, because that might take a little while. So here you can see the old one and the new one. Do the same thing. This one's new and not cracked. The new one seems like it's screwed right in, so hopefully that's going to work for us. So obviously the water is not warm yet. I just put it in. Should be warming up. But I should be able to just run the wash cycle anyway and see if that strainer housing is going to leak or anything. See if I have any other leaks going on, see how it seems to run. So I guess here goes nothing. Are you ready? Sounds like it's washing. I just set it for 10 minutes. It's a little bit anticlimactic because you can't see what it's doing. I can hear it definitely spraying in there. Seems to be working. I don't see any leaks anywhere. I mean, this is like best case scenario. And I'm sure this is going to need, like I said, the strainer cleaned out several times. Maybe those nozzles pulled and flushed the tube out and stuff, because I'm sure there's some junk in there, but seems to be working. What I'll do is I'll turn it on again, let it run 5-10 minutes, and then probably look into the strainer and clean that out. Let me know if it starts leaking. You guys didn't tell me. I started leaking. Why didn't you say something? Uh-oh. Let me bring you in for a closer look here. So it looks like the pump. The pump is what is leaking, I think. But maybe we can fix it. So I can't see exactly where it's leaking from the pump, but it's pretty obvious that it is actually at the pump. It doesn't seem to be the lines going into the pump or anything. Something about the pump housing is leaking. It could be simple. It could be like an O-ring seal or something, or it could be cracked, or it could be rusted through or whatever. The bottom looks kind of ugly, so we're going to have to take that pump off of there and bring it out here until where we can get to it and take it apart, or look it over at least and find where it's leaking. And if we have to reseal it or whatever, or replace it, then we'll have to do that. First things first, I'm going to have to drain this thing, because otherwise it's going to drain when I take the pump off. And I'd rather drain it in a controlled way. I think my camera might have overheated there for a minute. It's quite hot today, but I did go ahead and knock off that front part of the housing. And I don't think anything's rusted out or anything, so that's good news. Things are looking pretty solid still. But it looks like this does have some sort of an O-ring seal. And I will bet you that's the problem, because other than the housing being literally rusted out or something, or like a hole in it, this is really the only seam in the whole thing. I guess there's also probably some type of seal where the shaft comes through, but I don't think that's where it was leaking. So my guess is that it is this O-ring here. So I picked up an O-ring. As you can see, the old O-ring is really squished, and I think it used to be completely round like a normal O-ring, but here's my new O-ring, which will hopefully work. Got this off my local hydraulic shop. They had this in stock, so hopefully this will work. If not, I'll have to try something else. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed. So I just took some Scotch-Brite, cleaned up, you know, this is really where it should seal along this little chamfered portion, I believe. And then cleaned up on the other house, or the other half of the housing. I'm gonna go ahead and give this O-ring a little test fit, just to see. It might be just a hair looser than I would have liked, but I think it might work. Okay, now everything back here is tightened up. It is leaking. Well, it must be leaking where the motor shaft goes through, unfortunately. So it's got to come off again. It's got to come apart. And I got to get that seal. Yeah. See if I can get you guys a little bit of a view of this here. So basically, hopefully you can see that along that seam where I just put the new O-ring is actually dry. It's a little hard for you to see, but if you get low enough you can see that. And then back here is where it's wet. So, you know, yesterday when I was looking, it looked like it was dripping from just the bottom here at the seam. And obviously it's coming from somewhere higher though, because the seam's not wet and it's wet up here. I figured it just kind of splashed around and everything was wet here, but it does look like it is indeed whatever seal is back here that holds, you know, the water from coming out around the motor shaft where it goes into the pump. So I'm gonna have to get into that. So I decided before I throw in the towel quite yet, I'm gonna go ahead and heat up the water quite hot and see if the pump still leaks. And my only thought there is that, you know, it's been a long time since this ran, that heat may expand those seals a little bit or do something along that line and cause it to seal up. I don't know that it really will, and it also probably isn't the permanent solution. You know, I'd like to maybe reseal this pump at some point, but it looks like from a little bit of research it's going to be a pretty specialized seal, and it looks like it's going to be a little expensive. I don't really mind spending the money if it's going to mean that, you know, I have a good working parts washer, but I decided I'd go ahead, heat the water nice and hot, give it a little run, see what it does, and then of course probably end up tearing into it and getting that seal eventually anyway. But there was no way I was getting it this weekend anyway, so figured let's try this, see what happens. Worst case scenario is still leaks. Hopefully this comes across on camera. It is quite toasty in there. I don't know if you can see the sort of steam coming off of that, but that water is hot. I can feel the heat coming off up here. We're gonna go ahead and close that up, and we are going to, I have a little dish down here where the pump seems to drip, and I'm gonna just fire this up, let it run for a minute, and see if we start to collect water there. It looks like it's almost worked. So that obviously had a pretty low chance of success, let's be honest. I think it was worth a shot, just check it out, see what happens once it was heated up. Plus I really wanted to actually heat this all the way up and see, you know, that it did work right. So it does seem to get good and hot. So that's a good thing. So we know the heating element works. We know the motor runs. We know the pump pumps. We know that the sprayer spins and it sprays, you know, out of the nozzles. It looks like a few of those are clogged up probably, which is, you know, hopefully no big deal. I'm gonna have to take those out. Probably just take them all out and see if I can just kind of flush that whole tube that they're on out at some point. But it looks like we definitely need to get that seal. And like I said, it's kind of a special seal. I'm gonna have to probably get a hold of some people to figure out exactly what kit I need for this, and you know, it's probably gonna be a couple $100, but after that, you know, nothing else seems to be leaking, everything else seems to be working, so I think I'll have a good parts washer at that point. So I'll tell you what, I know it's a little bit of a disappointment again, you know, it's not washed in parts yet, but the next video that this parts washer in, mark my words, the next one it's in, we're washing parts. So as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share it to all your friends, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.